the discipline myth that keeps you stuck. There are 7 secret habits that highly focused people use to stay disciplined, and almost nobody talks about them because they don't look impressive from the outside. Most people believe discipline comes from having more willpower, more motivation, or simply trying harder. The truth is almost the opposite. People who stay consistent for years don't win because they constantly resist temptation. They win because they rarely have to. They've trained their brain and designed their environment so the right decision becomes the easiest one to make. Behavioral scientists have found that the brain quickly adapts to repeated patterns, turning conscious effort into automatic behavior. That means the real battle isn't fought in the moment you feel like quitting. It's won long before that moment ever arrives. Some of the habits you're about to learn seem almost too simple to matter, yet they quietly reshape how your brain responds to distractions, procrastination, and discomfort. By the end of this video, you'll see discipline in a completely different way. And the final habit is the one that ties everything together, making consistency feel less like a daily fight and more like a system that runs almost on its own. Habit 1: they never trust tomorrow's motivation. Highly disciplined people make one assumption that completely changes their behavior. Tomorrow's version of themselves will not magically have more motivation than today's. Most people do the opposite. They tell themselves they'll wake up more energized, more focused, and more willing to do the hard work. That's a dangerous bet, because the brain is wired to favor immediate comfort over long-term rewards. Scientists who study decision-making have discovered that we naturally give greater value to what feels good right now than to benefits that come later. That's why scrolling for 10 minutes feels more attractive than working on a project that could change your future. Focused people don't try to fight this tendency every day. They plan around it. Instead of leaving important actions to future emotions, they create commitments that make action almost automatic. They schedule deep work before distractions appear. They prepare their workout clothes the night before. They place the book on the desk instead of inside a drawer. They remove the need to negotiate with themselves when the moment arrives. Notice the pattern. Every small decision made in advance is one less mental battle waiting for you tomorrow. The less you negotiate, the less opportunity your brain has to choose comfort over progress. The surprising part is that this habit becomes incredibly powerful only because disciplined people combine it with another strategy that almost eliminates mental fatigue throughout the day. Habit 2: they make decisions only once. One of the biggest mistakes people make is turning the same commitment into a daily question. Every morning they ask themselves, should I work out today? Should I study now? Should I start after lunch? Every time that question appears, the brain spends energy evaluating options, and every evaluation creates another chance to postpone action. Behavioral psychologists have noticed that self-control weakens when we're forced to make too many unnecessary decisions. It's not that disciplined people have unlimited mental energy. They simply protect it by refusing to revisit choices they've already made. Instead of deciding every day when they'll exercise, they decide once that training starts at 6 o'clock. Instead of wondering when they'll write, they always begin after their morning coffee. Instead of choosing between dozens of tasks, they follow a predetermined sequence. Over time, these repeated patterns become familiar enough that the brain starts treating them like routines rather than difficult decisions. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and debate whether it's worth doing. The decision was made years ago. That's exactly how focused people approach their most important habits. Their schedule isn't built on motivation. It's built on rules that remove uncertainty. This shift has another hidden advantage. When your brain stops wasting energy deciding what to do next, it has far more attention available for actually doing the work. Consistency stops feeling exhausting because fewer internal arguments are happening throughout the day. Yet even the strongest routine can slowly fall apart for one reason that most people completely overlook. It has nothing to do with time management and everything to do with the chemistry driving your attention. Habit 3: they protect their dopamine before they protect their time. Most people try to manage their calendar while ignoring the system that determines whether they can focus at all. Time is important, but focused people protect something even more valuable: the brain's willingness to engage with difficult work. When you begin the day with short videos, constant notifications, rapid entertainment, and endless novelty. Ordinary tasks start to feel painfully slow. Your work did not suddenly become harder. Your brain simply became calibrated to expect faster stimulation. Experts who study dopamine regulation explain that dopamine is not just about pleasure. It also helps drive pursuit, anticipation, and motivation. When your brain receives repeated bursts of easy stimulation, it begins comparing everything else against that intensity. Reading feels dull. Studying feels heavy. Deep work feels almost unbearable. Disciplined people understand this, so they do not spend their strongest mental hours consuming their most stimulating rewards. They delay social media, they turn off unnecessary notifications. They avoid switching between tasks every few minutes. Some refuse to touch their phone until they complete the first important block of work. This is not about living without entertainment. It is about controlling the order. Focused people earn stimulation after effort instead of using stimulation to avoid effort. Try this. Protect the first hour of your day from fast digital rewards. Choose one demanding task and work on it before giving your brain access to entertainment. At first, you may feel restless. That discomfort is not proof that you cannot focus. It is evidence that your attention has been trained to expect constant novelty. But even when your dopamine environment is under control, another internal force can still destroy discipline, trying to demand peak performance from your brain at the exact moment it has the least energy available. Habit 4. They never fight their brain during its weakest hours. Most people believe discipline means pushing through exhaustion at any cost. Focused people know that's a losing strategy. They don't waste their best effort fighting low-energy moments. They organize their day so the hardest work happens when their brain is naturally prepared to handle it. Researchers who study sleep, attention, and performance have found that mental energy rises and falls in predictable cycles throughout the day. While those cycles vary from person to person, almost everyone has periods when concentration is noticeably stronger and others when it drops. Highly disciplined people learn to recognize these patterns instead of ignoring them. Pay attention to your own routine. When do difficult tasks feel surprisingly manageable? When does your mind begin searching for excuses, snacks, or distractions? Those moments reveal more about your productivity than any motivational quote ever will. Instead of forcing deep work during their weakest hours, focused people reserve those periods for simpler activities, such as answering emails, organizing files, planning the next day, or taking care of routine responsibilities. Their most demanding projects are protected and placed where their attention is strongest. This approach removes unnecessary friction. Rather than constantly trying to overpower biology with willpower, they let their natural energy work in their favor. The result is not less discipline, it's smarter discipline, where effort produces far greater results because it's applied at the right time. Here's the surprising part. There is one habit that makes this strategy even more effective because it reduces temptation before your brain ever has the opportunity to make a bad decision. Habit 5. They build invisible friction against bad choices. Most people believe discipline is tested the moment temptation appears. Highly focused people think differently. They make sure temptation has a much harder time reaching them in the first place. Behavioral scientists have repeatedly shown that our environment influences our decisions far more than we like to admit. Tiny obstacles can dramatically reduce unwanted behaviors, while tiny conveniences can make good habits happen almost automatically. In other words, people often don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because the easiest option around them is the wrong one. Think about your phone. If it's sitting face up on your desk, every vibration, screen flash, or simple glance becomes an invitation to abandon your work. But if it's in another room, on silent, or blocked by an app limiter, that single interruption now requires several deliberate actions. Those extra seconds create enough distance for the rational part of your brain to regain control. The same principle applies everywhere. Keep unhealthy food out of the house instead of relying on. Open the document you'll work on before ending today's session. Place your notebook where you'll immediately see it tomorrow morning. Remove streaming apps from your work device. Every small layer of friction weakens bad habits while making productive ones easier to repeat. Focused people don't expect themselves to win hundreds of battles every day. They They redesign the battlefield until most of those battles never happen. What looks like incredible willpower from the outside is often just intelligent preparation hidden from view. There is, however, one mistake capable of destroying even the best designed system. It happens inside your own identity, and once you understand it, discipline stops being something you do and starts becoming part of who you are. Habit 6. They never measure effort. They measure identity. Most people judge their progress by asking one question. Do I feel motivated enough to do this today? Focused people ask a completely different question. What would a disciplined person do right now? That small shift changes everything. Psychologists who study long-term behavior have found that people are far more likely to repeat actions that reinforce the way they see themselves. Every choice becomes a vote for a specific identity. Skip one workout, and nothing dramatic happens. Finish one workout, and you strengthen the belief that you're someone who keeps promises to yourself. Repeat that often enough, and discipline stops feeling like an obligation. It becomes part of your self-image. This is why highly disciplined people don't obsess over perfect days. They obsess over staying consistent with the kind of person they're becoming. Even on difficult days, they look for the smallest action that keeps their identity intact. If they don't have an hour to train, they train for 10 minutes. If they can't write 5 pages, they write 1 paragraph. The goal isn't maximizing today's results. It's refusing to break the pattern that defines who they are. Once your identity begins to change, your internal dialogue changes with it. You stop asking whether you should do the work, because, in your mind, the work is simply what people like you do. That removes an enormous amount of internal resistance. And this leads to the final habit. It's the one that quietly connects every strategy you've seen so far. Without it, discipline constantly depends on remembering what to do. With it, your brain begins preparing itself for success before the next day even starts. Habit 7. They end every day by programming tomorrow's brain. Most people end the day by closing their laptop, scrolling through their phone, and hoping they'll wake up ready to be productive. Highly focused people use the last few minutes of the day very differently. They prepare tomorrow's brain before tomorrow even arrives. Neuroscience specialists explain that the brain continues organizing information and reinforcing priorities during sleep. What you repeatedly focus on before going to bed is more likely to influence how your mind directs attention the next morning. Disciplined people take advantage of this, instead of leaving their first hours to chance. Their evening routine is surprisingly simple. They identify the single most important task for tomorrow. They clear their workspace. They leave the necessary tools ready. They briefly visualize themselves starting that task without hesitation. When they wake up, there is no confusion about what comes next. The decision has already been made. This habit also reduces something many people underestimate: cognitive overload. Waking up with 10 unfinished decisions creates stress before the day has even begun. Waking up with one clear starting point creates momentum. Once that first action is completed, the next one feels easier, and the day begins moving in the right direction. The goal isn't to predict every hour of tomorrow. It's to remove the uncertainty that gives procrastination room to grow. Every evening becomes an investment that pays dividends the following morning. This is why truly disciplined people seem so consistent. They aren't relying on inspiration when they wake up. They're benefiting from preparation that started the night before. And once you combine this habit with the 6 you've already learned, discipline stops being a daily struggle and starts operating like a system that quietly works in your favor. Discipline is a system, not a personality. If there's one idea you should take away from this video, it's this: discipline is not a personality trait that a lucky few are born with. It's the result of systems that make the right actions easier and the wrong actions harder. Think about what you've learned. Highly focused people don't trust tomorrow's motivation. They eliminate unnecessary decisions. They protect their dopamine before protecting their schedule. They work with their brain's natural energy instead of against it. They redesign their environment to reduce temptation. They build an identity around consistent action. And every night, they prepare tomorrow before it begins. None of these habits is dramatic on its own. That's exactly why they're so powerful. Small adjustments repeated every day reshape your behavior far more effectively than occasional bursts of motivation. Over time, your brain stops resisting the habits you've practiced consistently because they become your new normal. You don't need to implement all 7 habits today. In fact, trying to change everything at once usually creates the opposite result. Choose one habit that addresses your biggest weakness and commit to it until it feels automatic. Once it becomes part of your routine, add the next one. This is how lasting discipline is built. One repeated action at a time. Months from now, people may look at your consistency and assume you simply have incredible They won't see the invisible systems working behind every decision. But you'll know the truth. Discipline was never about forcing yourself to be stronger every day. It was about building a life where making the right choice became the most natural choice you could make.